Hi, I'm Savannah Kongratiev, permanent makeup artist and lip blush specialist located in New York City, USA. I started my journey with cosmetic tattooing about 4 years ago. Immediately, I was drawn to lip blush and how amazing you can make anybody's natural lips look. How I formulate my colors for lip blush and lip neutralization is based off of my prior career as a hairstylist and hair color specialist. I used to work for a very large hair color company here in the US as a brand educator, and basically my job was to go to different salons and educate them on hair color, new trends, tips and tricks to help them master their skills. As my obsession for lip blush grew, so did the demand for lip neutralization. I met a lot of clients that were in need of wanting to lighten and balance the tone of their lips. At the time, this was kind of like a forbidden subject. I was always told that you were not allowed to touch anybody that had darker pigmentation because you run the risk of damaging their lips. But coming from a multicultural family, I knew there had to be a way where I could service both the people that I love and other people who wanted to have this service done that would fall on the higher levels of the Fitzpatrick scale. Most of what I learned about tattooing actually comes from my husband, who is a traditional body tattoo artist. I learned a lot about what needles do what and what colors to choose for different skin tones, things like that. Tattooing is a lot like painting, and you have to think about not only what the person has naturally, but what you tattoo on them, mixing together and making a beautiful result. I began playing with his traditional tattoo inks, and that is how I discovered, mixed with my knowledge of hair color, how to neutralize lips to get the results that I do today. Tattooing is a lot like painting. You have to think about not only what the person has as their natural lip color, but also what tattooing a certain color on top of that will create. Basically, the two have to mix together to get a beautiful result. I'm going to show you using paint exactly how I go about doing that. I like to use pigments that have a high level of titanium dioxide in them. And yes, I know, this is typically considered the forbidden fruit. But with today's modern tattooing, we do not penetrate deep into the epidermis. We stay on the surface layers of the skin. So this means the tattoo will, over time, be semi-permanent and wear off. The long-term effects are no longer as damaging as they once were because of the style that we're tattooing in. Today's method of cosmetic tattooing is safe for using pigments that have titanium dioxide in them. And this is absolutely needed to gain coverage over darker pigmentation and balance the lip color out. When you're working on skin that has darker pigmentation, your starting point is usually a various shade of brown. In previous years, artists would choose straight up orange to neutralize the lips. This is not something that I would do because most people do not want their end result to be orangey. In my opinion, you will always need to use some form of titanium dioxide to achieve the color that you're looking for. So in the sense of orange, of course you want a warmer color to neutralize with, but I do often find that adding our faithful titanium dioxide to make a creamier color. So as you can see, this creamy, peachy color will completely conceal the brown underneath. You may also use a pinky tone that has a high percentage of titanium dioxide, depending on the person's starting point. As you can see, this will also give you coverage. This is how lip neutralization works, and this is how you get the best results. What you don't want to do is choose colors like red. As you can see, red and brown make a darker color. So once healed, the person's lips will be darker than their starting point if you choose a pigment that is red. My favorite pigments to use again are pigments that contain a high percentage of titanium dioxide. This is what you need to gain coverage over the natural lip, making your lip neutralization process seamless and heal flawless. Here I have some of my favorites, all just very warm, peachy, pinky colors. Evenflow does make a pigment called Alter White, which is straight up white titanium dioxide that you can add to any of your mixtures. I really like formulating with this because it allows you to change a lot of different pigments into pigments that are suitable for lip neutralization. That would be another key player in my lip neutralization formulations. When it comes to my lip neutralization clients, I do not tattoo and outline. I go step by step through the procedure and I basically break the lip into separate sections, which I will show you on this paper. And this is how I go through and tattoo from start to finish. So when I'm working on my lip neutralization clients, I think of the lips as being in different sections. I like to start on the top lip and work my way from corner to corner. So I will start filling in section by section and so forth until this is complete, this is complete, this is complete, this is complete. I will then move on to the bottom lip and move through in the same fashion. I do like to create a pre-draw before I begin tattooing, just so I can see, where I'm going and what I'm doing and what I'm planning to create. I do that with concealer, and I just use NYX HD Studio Concealer. I'm going to show you a small clip that I have of a real-life client that I did a pre-draw on. I do prefer to numb my clients both before and during the procedure. I think it just keeps them more comfortable, and the more comfortable they are, the better work that I can create because I don't feel the stress of them being in pain and I need to rush, so I do use numbing. My numbing agent that I use before I start the procedure is Zensa Numbing Cream. And as I'm working in between each pass, I will put Ultra Duration over each lip while I'm working. I do think that having high quality tools and products to work with really make a difference in creating the best possible healed result. I personally prefer to use the Flux S to tattoo my lip neutralization clients with. I find that this machine is absolutely perfect for tattooing lip neutralization because it is made with a stroke that is proper for facial tattooing, and the motor is strong, but it's not too strong to the point where you are creating a lot of trauma on the lip tissue and really hurting someone. In my opinion, I don't think that high-powered traditional tattooing equipment is for facial tattooing, and I think that in the long run, it actually holds you back from getting those impactful results that you're looking for in fewer sessions. I also prefer to use Vertex needles because I find that they are not too sharp while working on the skin, especially lip tissue that's very, very fragile. but I also find that they don't dull out quickly either, so I don't need to switch, the same size needle back and forth while I'm working. I do often use 2 different needles while I work, but they are 2 different needle sizes. I don't need to switch because the needle is getting dull. I'm switching because I need to use a different size to work with. When it comes to needle choice, I like to think of larger needles as more of like a brush, and they will give you a softer healed result, whereas smaller needles create a more polished and high saturated finish. I tattoo to create low trauma while I'm working so that I get better ink retention from my healed results. This is especially important when it comes to lip neutralization because you really need a high saturation finish to cover the natural lip tissue. I don't make any more than 3 or 4 passes over each lip while I'm working. Anything more than that, in my opinion, just traumatizes the lip tissue and leads to poor ink retention and not getting the impactful results you could be getting sooner with each session. Here I'm working with my flux on a 5.5 speed. 3R LLT 0.25 vertex needle. You can see my needle hang. So I often see artists making the mistake when working on lip neutralization of going over the lips too many times. Too many passes will just over-traumatize the lip tissue and you will be left with poor ink retention. You don't want to make any more than 3 or 4 passes over the lips, even for lip neutralization. What I see artists doing most often is a watercolor technique, and that's what makes them need to go over the lips more. This is a watercolor technique. My strokes are more spread out, which will create a watercolor effect once completed and healed. This method creates a very, very light stain, as you can see. This is not suitable for lip neutralization because once healed, it will basically heal to nothing. What separates my technique from the rest is that I pack my strokes tightly together. This also allows me to pack more color in and receive more ink retention once healed without having to go over the lips more than 3 or 4 passes. Whip shading mostly towards myself, but depending on where I'm at on the lip, I may whip away from myself, back and forth like a pendulum, but I mostly prefer to whip towards myself. And as you can see, it takes more time because you are packing the strokes in tightly together. Your sections will take you a little bit more time to saturate properly. Can you see the difference between the two? So my go-to needles for lip neutralization are 0.25 1RL from Vertex and also 0.25 3R LLT or 3RL for my secondary needle. Usually I start with a 1RL, make my first pass, and then I usually finish with a 3RL or a 3R LLT. The combination of the right machine and the proper needle choices will give you exactly what you need to create the best lip neutralization, both while you're working and healed. If you're ever in New York City and would like to visit me, I have a studio, First Class Cosmetics. Feel free to visit me anytime. You can also stay updated with my work and what's going on with me by following my Instagram. It's @_Savannah Marie NYC. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to stay connected with all of you, and hopefully this helps you create the lip neutralization of your dreams.